Performing risk assessment and developing risk-based audit plans are crucial steps in ensuring that internal audit activities are focused on addressing the most significant risks facing an organization. Here's how to perform risk assessment and develop risk-based audit plans effectively. Understand the business environment. Gain a comprehensive understanding of the organization's business objectives, strategies, operations, industry dynamics, and regulatory environment. Identify key stakeholders, business units, processes, systems, and activities that drive value and contribute to organizational success. Identify risks. Identify and assess risks that could potentially impact the achievement of the organization's objectives. Consider various categories of risks, including strategic risks, operational risks, financial risks, compliance risks, and reputational risks. Use risk identification techniques such as brainstorming, risk workshops, risk surveys, historical data analysis, and scenario analysis. Evaluate risk factors. Evaluate risk factors such as likelihood, impact, velocity, complexity, interconnectedness, and detectability to assess the significance of identified risks. Prioritize risks based on their potential impact on the organization's objectives and the level of uncertainty associated with each risk. Assess internal controls. Assess the effectiveness of existing internal controls in mitigating identified risks and preventing or detecting errors, fraud, and non-compliance. Evaluate the design and operating effectiveness of key controls through control self-assessments, control testing, and walkthroughs. Quantify risks. Quantify risks using risk assessment tools and techniques such as risk matrices, risk scoring models, risk heat maps, and risk aggregation methods. Assign numerical ratings or scores to risks based on their likelihood and impact to facilitate risk prioritization and comparison. Develop risk-based audit plans. Develop risk-based audit plans that prioritize audit activities and resource allocation based on the results of the risk assessment. Focus audit efforts on high-risk areas, processes, functions, or activities that have the greatest potential impact on the achievement of organizational objectives. Consider factors such as risk appetite, risk tolerance, risk thresholds, and risk appetite statements when developing audit plans. Align audit objectives with risks. Align audit objectives, scope, and testing procedures with identified risks to ensure that audit activities address key risk areas. Tailor audit plans to address specific risk factors, control weaknesses, compliance gaps, and emerging risks identified during the risk assessment process. Involve stakeholders. Engage stakeholders, including management, board members, audit committees, and risk management functions, in the risk assessment and audit planning process. Seek input, feedback, and buy-in from stakeholders to ensure that audit plans are aligned with organizational priorities and objectives. Monitor and update. Monitor changes in the business environment, risk landscape, and internal control environment to identify new risks or changes in risk profiles. Update risk assessments and audit plans periodically to reflect evolving risks, emerging issues, and changes in organizational priorities. Communicate results. Communicate the results of the risk assessment and audit planning process to relevant stakeholders, including senior management, audit committees, and the board of directors. Provide clear and transparent explanations of risk ratings, audit priorities, resource allocations, and planned audit activities to facilitate decision-making and accountability. By performing risk assessment and developing risk-based audit plans, organizations can ensure that internal audit activities are focused on addressing the most significant risks, enhancing organizational resilience, and adding value to the organization's objectives.